Alright, we should be live now. Hopefully you can hear me. And I will be sending out the link to my social media person here really quick. I am live right now, or I should be anyway. Everything does appear to be happy on the YouTube side. Content. Live. Oh, sweet. Alright, so we are live. Let me get everything squared away here. Got the stream pulled up here. Awesome. And I have the YouTube chat. Things have changed in OBS a lot, and I could actually like see the chat in OBS, which is really cool. So, what the heck have I been up to? I haven't live streamed in forever. So, first things that's changed, or the first thing that has changed is I now have a business partner. That is my fiance Shelby, and she is adding selling basically visibility to parents on what the kids are doing on their devices, and helping individuals with their personal security, as well as some small business IT. So if you need help either securing yourself, securing your kids' devices, or your small business, we now do that. I've also completed the Grafana migration, so everything is managed with Grafana, Victoria, Metrics, and Loki now, and I'm going to show you all the pretty shiny dashboards and how we build that in a second. I've also taken on 2 employees, Miku and Max. Miku is our Chief Executive Officer, and Max is our Bork-based intrusion detection system. Miku is everyone's supervisor, really. She will be getting controlling stake in the company here in the coming weeks, but for now, I'm still the benevolent dictator for life. As you can see, if you stalk me, or if you stalk the GitLab repository, you can see I've been active, and I just haven't really been streaming. So what the heck have I been up to? Everything is now managed through the Grafana provisioning API, so all of these guys right here are actually generated with the Ansible role. So when you provision Shift-RMM, soon to be Shiftmon, it will create all of these dashboards for you, and you really don't have to do anything, as well as the data sources. So that's really sweet. First one we have is AdGuard, which will show the top queried services and the top filtered services for everything. Everything has a host selector, so you can see if you have multiple servers. It does have multiple data sources in case you're importing this into another environment that already has Prometheus and Loki set up. And I'm slowly releasing everything on the Grafana dashboards page, so that way it plays nice if you have your own metrics and logs set up already. That's AdGuard. CrowdSec, I don't have any good data for. This was actually thanks to my day job. My day job let me work on this on the clock and export it, so big shout out to them. I don't have any real need for showing CrowdSec because I don't have a whole... I don't really have like a public-facing infrastructure. This was starting to become a thing within FluxDB, but this is new to Shiftmon, and that's a Docker dashboard. So here you can go in and see the CPU network usage and how much an individual container is taking up of a whole host. This is utilizing the Docker plugin. It does require access to the Docker socket. So yeah, now you could actually like troubleshoot all your Docker containers. Again, has a drop-down menu like so. Back to browse, Shiftmon. Internal metrics. This dashboard is completely new. So this dashboard shows the performance of your your Grafana, Loki, and your Victoria metrics instance. It'll show the version of the clusters. You can actually collapse it. So if you only care about metrics or we'll get into later, you only care about logs because you have a whole bunch of streams getting dropped for some reason. It shows how much data both Victoria Metrics and Loki are importing. And as you can see, it shows the API endpoint. So if I had Prometheus scrapers, it would show how many samples a second it's seeing from that, but it's just using influx. Total number of data points, it's a really cool big number. If you have any slow inserts or slow queries, how much free space that you have on the server and how much of it is actually used by Victoria Metrics, and your average samples a second, as well as a time series showing the seconds over time. This was actually today, I just patched in it having 0 as the bottom of the y-axis. Otherwise, you would just see this wave bouncing around and it wasn't as valuable. You can also see the performance of the API in individual endpoints. So I could see what the query, the P99 for the API query there. So this is really helpful for troubleshooting any issues you have with Shift-RMM itself. Shift-RMM, our Linux dashboard. I believe this was the last stream I had. We've added syslog, so you can take syslog from any device if it is enabled in the Ansible inventory, and it will grab, it will set up syslog to forward to Telegraph, which then sends everything to Loki for you. There was a bug with the OS version that got fixed recently, so now it reports pretty instead of having a whole bunch of metadata spewed in this table. Yeah, basic host information, all that good stuff. Shift-RMM. There is an Nginx dashboard. It's not super great. I ran into an issue where the default logs in Nginx weren't great to work with. They weren't in a machine readable format. They were designed for humans to read it, and there is a grok pattern that works for it, but it doesn't give you a whole lot of useful information. So something that I do plan on releasing is how I configure Nginx to generate log format logs, which are machine readable, not necessarily human readable. You can log to both. It's not that hard. It's just a couple of lines in the Nginx config, but I found you can get much better logging setting up custom logging in Nginx, and it's not terribly hard to do. So yeah, we're skipping over Nginx from now. We have OpenSense metrics. Should pick a better interface for this. So this is receiving data from a remote syslog server. So OpenSense got support for the RFC 5424 syslog, which is much easier to read with Telegraph. So it is shipping logs to a remote instance of Telegraph and generating all this awesome NetFlow-ish data, as well as the interface traffic. And one nice thing about Grafana is you can isolate individual time series, so I can see IGB0 and VTNet0 either at the same time or not. Alright, Proxmox. This I was thankfully able to copy basically straight off of the Influx one, where I was able to take that awesome layout and gather the individual host data. So now you can get the individual CPU and memory of a given guest on a given node, and these panels will dynamically update. So if I change from Grisha to Annie, you notice that the host name changes here, and you get the network, CPU utilization, all that good stuff, as well as a breakdown of each individual guest on the host. So yeah, that's pretty neat. Then what else do we got? Shift-RMM, Proxmox, syslog dashboard. This is the prettiest to look at, but might not exactly be the most useful. This will actually show how many logs you're ingesting per minute and how many logs each individual host is. host is ingesting. So Gene doesn't really send that many logs, but we do receive about 1150 messages a minute. I'm guessing most of that is going to be coming from the firewall. Where's Rose? Sadly, it's going to be Armin here. So this host isn't the host that syslog is. It's the host that Telegraph is running on. So if you have, say, OpenSense shipping logs to another Telegraph instance, it won't show up in that dropdown. Might file that as a bug for later. But it does show that, okay, so over the last hour, most of the messages are coming from filter log and Loki. So that's pretty neat. And you can see like half the messages are coming from the, about half of the messages for the whole system are just the firewall. But also the firewall is the most useful thing that sends messages. But yeah, we have syslog support. I'm thinking about either using the syslog data itself to track things like user logins. The other alternative would be using OS query. OS query is going to be much easier to implement, but requires another agent because OS query can already has a bunch of pre-canned queries for running stuff like that, and it can also output things in JSON, so it's really easy for Telegraph to hoover that up. And they have a bunch of really cool fleet managers if you do need to run arbitrary queries, and it would be cool to just have like your fleet manager for OS query plop everything out in a JSON file or ship to Loki direct. So that's something I'm looking at implementing because writing syslog parsers is really hard and tedious, and it's probably super error prone because like Alma Linux might log something slightly different than Ubuntu, might log something different than SUSE than somebody running Arch. And you get all these weird heterogeneous things that kind of get abstracted away for you by running something like OS query. OS query can also track some interesting things like user browser extensions. So if I wanted to go into much more of a security direction, I can do that. We have Windows stuff here. We do have Defender logs here. There was a fun... Come on, Defender. You've done something in the last 12 hours. Maybe? Anyway, it does gather messages from Defender, and you can send alerts. So, woohoo! So what did I have? I had Grafana updates, had business updates. Yeah, contact us on our website. We also have affiliate links for PIA, Custodio, and DigitalOcean. Our slogan also changed as well. And we did overhaul our website, so everything actually works now. Thanks to Shelby on that. She actually did a really great job of learning Hugo to figure all that stuff out. We have also added security CI on the repository. So basically, if I'm committing passwords or doing dumb things like that, GitLab actually got infrastructure as code support, so it will tell me if I'm doing dumb stuff in Ansible, which is really helpful. Alright, so let's figure out why I'm getting a bunch of discarded log streams. So the way I discovered this is going to the internal metrics board. Cool, we're ingesting Atono logs. But hey, what the heck is this? So there's a bunch of too far in future. I actually found out too that this was broken. And thankfully it has been fixed. So we're getting a whole bunch of log messages too far in future. I haven't seen that error message before, but we'll find out what it means. So we're going to go to the Explore tab. Actually, we should be able to do this from a dashboard for syslog. So we changed the app to Telegraph. That looks like CrowdSec errors from Gene, so it's probably not Gene. My mail server I thought was going to be the weird one. But it looks like it's mostly Docker issues because the Docker socket is it's pretty interesting. It's super convenient, but it's also a security nightmare. Dan Walsh from Red Hat does a really good talk about that, and eventually I'd like to get some observability tied to Podman instead of Docker, because I think Podman handles security better, and it's really cool that it's more or less similar to Docker in a lot of ways. So that way you don't have to change your behavior a whole lot, but you still get all the security benefits, and it's way easier to run in user space instead of in kernel space. All that good stuff. So yeah. I'm not seeing anything in here that looks like out of order for Telegraph. Mail server. It wouldn't have been Zoe because that's this computer and it was booted into Windows when I received all those messages. Connie doesn't even have syslog from Telegraph in the past hour. Aaron. Looks like CrowdSec issues because of this string right here. So I'm going to go ahead and guess that it isn't that. Sasha. The varlib container storage overlay. Yeah, Docker socket doing Docker things. And CrowdSec, Prometheus endpoint. Something that has changed too is that I've gone away from using the Prometheus endpoint for CrowdSec, and I started following the log. The log gave me more of the information I want. CrowdSec would give you like performance counters for how CrowdSec was doing. It wasn't actually showing what it was doing to protect you. So I might add that back in, but for now, to save time series, I took that out. So it looks like we're not getting Telegraph from Historian the last hour. Not getting it from Darius. This one might be it. More Docker being weird. Looks like the Proxmox backup server. Is it angry and that wouldn't be running Telegraph? Gother. Happy dot. Don't have any Telegraph information. Okay. That might not have been the best way to do it. So let's go back to Armin. And let's look at the Loki logs. Alright, so let's go actually explore this, because there is a pretty high message count for Loki. Might actually break the dashboard. That's actually something that's super tricky to do with syslog. Is let's lower the time span. Something tricky is gathering the raw syslog. I've actually thought about dropping this altogether, but the problem is you might want like more than one service running at the same time. Also, the cool graphs. I love these. These are more visual eye candy than they are for troubleshooting, to be honest, but I just think they're super cool. Alright, so what we're going to do is explore. Might have to do it again because there's just so much data being shoved in a web browser. It's probably going to be smarter to explore. We're going to go to shift logs. Alright, so the way I find syslog data is go to name, syslog, and then cool thing about Grafana, it's actually going to show you the labels. So Loki's the thing that's angry, and we only have one host name, but if you needed to narrow it down, so say you had like 4 instances. I wonder if we could also narrow it down by severity as well. So syslog was angry. It's looking like a lot more of the same. So it looks like we only have info severity for this. Also, we should see if that number is going up, because it might be that like something came online or started shipping logs and it had like a wrong timestamp, and then it just kind of got its poop in a group and everything fixed itself. So let's see if that's the case. So we'd go to our internal metric. So this would be under internal metrics. So that number really hasn't been increasing. So that's in the last hour. Let's see what we got in like the last 5 minutes. Oh, this is a instant in time. That's right. So let's actually explore on this metric. So let's do a range so we can get a time series. And we need to make this not a table. Let's go the last 3 hours. So let's go back to the last time this number increased. Heck, is this a table? Oh, where's that button? Should be query options somewhere in here. Inspector? No. Let's copy this guy out. Back to explore. Shift metrics. Perfect. Wrong way on the time window. Don't need the query metadata. So something was mad and then figured its stuff out. See if there's just a error log that might have more information. that out. I actually don't think I'm not sure if there is an error log for Loki. Let me check the config file really quick. Templates, Loki config.yaml. Alright. So we are getting a too far in future error. So what I'm pretty sure this means is that Loki is only able to see, or is only able to put logs into the database if it's within a certain window. So if it's 8:55 right now, it could only add logs to the database with the timestamp between 7:55 and 9:55. So that's the reason why it's mad. We just need to get through the logs and figure out why. So let's go to logs, see if we can find app name is going to be, don't actually need this. Don't need this really. Loki. You want last 3 hours because that's where things have gotten bigger. Show logs. Let's actually do the search for anything with error in it. Perfect. Context canceled, severity level error. So I wonder actually if we're Loki. So that's, oh, wrong label. Okay. Oh, what the hell? See if we can find anything with future in it. Far. One second, I need to mute myself. Sorry, we have semi-grounded children fighting each other at home right now, so yay, we get to deal with that one. Alright, so that's the time frame. Looks like all the errors were happening. This is about the time span we want to look for. Oh, this is 429, not error. Whoops, sorry. crap. Alright, so we want level equals error. So what was happening here is, oh hey, you're looking for anything with error in the query. It's logging the queries to itself. So we want to do there we go. Okay, so time is not the right metric to key off of. Trying to figure out if any of these are actually worth looking at. One problem I'm noticing is Grafana gets confused sometimes if other things are in log format. So if I just do a pipe log format, it's going to get confused because it's already kind of in log format. So what I need to do for Loki is actually get it to sudo nvim etsy telegraph.d. This would actually be for syslog. So what this should do is try to parse everything as log format for the Loki app for the message field. What I might be doing, that's absolutely, yep. Okay, found the bug. So instead of spelling out, yeah, so instead of spelling out message, I need to abbreviate it to message. And then that might actually systemctl restart telegraph. Give us a little better of an idea of what's going on with Loki. So Loki logs to log format, but Telegraph also ships things in log format. So you need to tell it to parse the field message as if it was log format, and then it will create those fields. So the way Telegraph deals with Loki is Telegraph goes, oh, hey, I'm in log format. Telegraph will go, oh, hey, take this data, put it in log format, send it to Loki, no matter what. So if it has a field you need to process, you need to say that, hey, this field message would also be in log format, and I think that's why it's getting a little hung up here. So let's see if this makes the picture any clearer. And to see if we're getting any, if we're getting better data. Also, if we just refresh this page a bunch, we should get some data from Loki. There we go. So we're getting better data now. Maybe not. Also a good chance I just misspelled message. So yeah, you can kind of see it in here. It doesn't expand very well. Oh, okay. My producer just mentioned I need to zoom this in. There we go. Let me zoom in my terminal too. Except there's a grok pattern in there, so it probably isn't very legible already anyway. So settings, edit current profile. Bump the font up. There we go. Is that more legible? Oh. Yeah, cool. So yeah, getting this more legible I think would help. The other thing I think would be a smarter idea would be to look at telegraph and see if we're getting like 429 errors, which is Loki saying go home, parser, you need a hand. So let's look at telegraph. So let's figure out the time span we want to look for, and then we'll interrogate telegraph to see if it can tell us anything. So go to internal metrics. Our active log streams are growing up, cool. Edit this query. Actually, let's explore this. I want to see if I can figure this out better. So let's explore this and see if where the visualization was. I want to query a range first. I need to query the last 3 hours. So if we start here and look at the Loki logs from like 5:05 to 5:15, it looks like it was going up at a pretty steady clip. So it might be smarter to look through Loki. Gosh, I love the autocomplete with Grafana. Pick a custom time. So let's go today, which is the 9th. Come on, you can do better than this. Ninth to... I know there's a clever way where you could actually like specify down the time. Alright, let's just flip the results order. Alright, so these are all queries and everything's hunky-dory. I haven't actually spent a ton of time looking at Loki logs yet because it just mostly works.
I live inside my own world of make-believe. Kids screaming in the cradles, profanities. I see the world through ice covered in ink and bleach.
What is it? Read the documentation.
I love everything. Fire spreading all around my room.
Okay, so this is the time format we want. I just couldn't remember the time format off the top of my head. It's been a minute. So 2022 04 09, and we want 1806 to 18 20. Now we want to run the query. Shift logs, host Armin. Comma, app name. Loki. So finish compacting table, skip compacting table. Let's go back to that dashboard for internal metrics. Too far in future, explore. Last 3 hours. Run query. Change. There we go. So yeah, the numbers should have been going up in this time. So we should see a too far in future discarded stream. So we're gonna start throwing some of those words through here. Oh, whoops. That regex equals. Far. So since right now, I need to work on parsing out that message data, it might make sense to Loki config documentation to see if there's anything in the documentation for Loki. Oh, poop. Docs. Grafana, Loki. Upgrading configuration. Log only messages. So it's gonna show, given the severity, log level. So that's the log level. It's gonna show to syslog. This is actually something I should just look to implement. Gonna pull up a VS Code window on screen. Basically, I don't really want to log every query. That seems expensive and kind of silly. And increase the signal to noise. Or decreases, sorry. Write ahead log. Oh, cool. You can actually truncate log lines. I might look into this to stop things from exploding. The downside of it is it's going to make charts look wrong, because especially if you have like a firewall, does generate a large number of messages. Alright, accept out of order rights. Since the beginning of Loki, log entry had been written in time order. This limitation has been lifted out of order. We're enabled globally by default, but can be disabled enabled. Okay. But we don't have it configured, so it's not going to do anything. Okay, cool. So now we get a look at syslog and just see if we can grab the messages locally. Sudo last var log sys. Crap. Oh, this is Red Hat. Okay. So grep Loki and var log messages, pipe that to less. So this is gonna show us all the stuff in just the raw syslog view. And this is from a few days back. Okay. So yeah, we don't need to log all this stuff. Because like this is gonna fill up all the logs just for like loading a dashboard, and that's Alright, method log proto push pusher error RPC code 400 entry with timestamp. Okay, entry too far behind. Also, the other reason we want to be in here is that we want to see the messages as syslog is seeing it, and that might help us to understand where in the step or where in the process it's getting hosed. So we know that the messages are coming in log format, right? So that's what this guy is. So everything up to here is metadata in a syslog message. All of this is metadata. So this is syslog saying, hey, it happened at this time. This is the host. This is the facility. I believe that's the PID, the log level. Or sorry. Yeah, that's the PID. And then once you hit here, this is kind of where Grafana is taking the wheel for the message. So I actually think it is the message field that needs to get parsed. I'll flip that back in a minute and test it. And I'll also update the syslog parser if I notice that like, oh, hey, this is logging to JSON and it's a service I see, and take pull requests as that happen. Yeah. Syslog in general, it's a metadata standard, not a data standard, so it makes it hard to deal with because all the metadata parses out super easily and super clean, but the message data is bleh. Okay. Method. Reason too far behind. Stream. So it's mad at a Windows desktop. It happened at this time. And then at 11:06 color. So I know what's happening now. And I wonder if the message is getting truncated because of the log format stuff. So this is very clearly in a message. Yeah, we don't need to log all this stuff. I will actually ask the security engineer sitting behind me if I'm okay to rope her in. Do you see any issues with not logging every single query that hits a database? But so if you want those overall metrics, I'm pretty sure you can get that from the Prometheus endpoint. So Loki, and this is for the audience, not for you. You've probably heard me say this a million times. There are built-in metrics and performance counters basically built into Victorian metrics and into Loki. So that way you don't have to try to make sense of things by parsing the error log or something like that. You can parse them out. You can parse them out by using those metrics. So I'll show you that in a second. So you get 21, which is us querying the database here. Probably causing somebody to seize at this point. Come on. Another thing that also could have been happening, it was just trying to catch up. But that's still an issue I would need to deal with at some point, right? So let's actually go. Come on, this is taking forever. Almost there, like one more hour. So the compactor is doing its thing here. That's the weird part. The other thing we could do is search for winver. There we go. no. Is it log format exactly, or is it just close enough to make me very angry? Caller, gRPC. Oh gosh. Yeah, this is where it's gonna get gnarly. So then the error has its own log. So we have a log with, this is like the Russian dolls of logging. We're basically up to here. Oh, cool. We got some nice little log format going on in the message here. Right, that's cool. And then error has key value pairs, but now they have a space in it. So the Windows version, this information has a weird timestamp. I wonder if I search for this host, copy, like, is it even making it up to there? See if I broke this. Yeah, whoops. Oh, we just look on April 3rd. Hey, there we go. So let's see what's actually getting truncated off of here. Probably having a time with just the sheer number of, yeah. Yeah, and then it just wants to cry after it sees the error message. I think putting message is log format is okay. So let's do that really quick. Vim, Etsy, Telegraph, Telegraph.d, syslog. So when you see the app name, and I'm going to make sure I have all this correct. Ah, crap. So sweet. That's correct. So this is saying parse the field message. Make sure I'm actually spelling message right, because I do brainlet stuff like that a lot. It's actually a running joke at my day job where it's just like, I've admitted some of these mistakes to my manager, so my manager will be like, hey, can you make this thing? And I'm just like, cool, what should I call it? And then it'll be like Victoria, Financial, like all words I've misspelled as I've misspelled them, just to rub in the fact that my spelling's really terrible and I should probably fix it. It's great. Alright. And that's the same as processors, parser, tag pass for this guy. Same number of brackets, same indentation. Sweet. So sudo service test telegraph. Service test is an alias that I have set up that will restart a service and spit out the results of the journal. So I'm going to throw that up on the side in case something explodes. Okay. So it looks like it was able to catch some stuff. but it's having a time. By default, it'll try to pull things apart as log format, but it is definitely having a time with this. The other thing we could do yeah, so it is actually grabbing the reason is too far behind. So it's something with Windows host and time, which would make sense. I have to escape those. So I'm not sure if this is a actual bug. Yeah. The message stuff gets kind of wonky, but actually logs what was in there, which was cool. So it's like telling you what it goofed up on. So you could almost like backfill what you did miss. So it looks like this is only happening with Windows host. The way I'm determining that is this is a desktop hyphen is a default Windows host name. The metric name is exec winver or like defender. So for some reason, too far out of sync. So my initial guess is I want to see if there's a configuration option that can loosen that up a bit, because it's not showing like how far off it is. And even if I go into like syslog, syslog's happy about it. Take a quick break. Just make sure we have this kind of stashed away somewhere. Yeah, so it looks like Windows hosts are angry and sometimes having issues. Let's look at the last 12 hours to see if we're running into the same thing. And we're just seeing that query get hit a bunch. So we're seeing that query get hit. Yeah, this is obnoxious and needs to go away. So it might be smart to go look at the Telegraph logs on those Windows hosts, which is something I'll have to do off stream just because those are like not my Windows machines. I don't run Windows besides to run my Ethereum miner and to play video games sometimes. So yeah. Let's actually fix these options really quick. So yeah, I know what the problem is, but I can't really troubleshoot it on stream. And we have been going for an hour, so I'm going to show you the cool deployment method I've been playing with for this stuff. It's a tool called Ansible Semaphore. Let's pop open VS Code here. And we want to mess with these two options in the low-key config. So we're going to pop open this. We're going to pop this over to the right, and on another screen, I'm going to have the Loki documentation set up, which is this guy over here. Boom. Let's get this pulled up. Alright, so we don't want to log every query, right? Because that's stupid. That's gonna create a lot of logs that aren't very useful. Like I said, there should be other ways to discern the query volume rather than just logging every query of a database. There might be some scenarios where you need like a super detailed audit trail, but this is a developer instance, and that information is more harm than good because I'm going to need to look through stuff that's actually broken, and having every single query that worked is like the everything is fine alarm off The Simpsons. So this is in the front end config. So we're going to go to front. What the heck? Storage. Where is front end config? Oh, do I not have a front end block? I have like query. I do not. Okay, so we need a front end block. Cool. So we're gonna need a front end. Oop. So let's log queries. The thing we probably want to figure out is this right here. Log queries longer than the default is 0 seconds. I think that's silly. We want to figure out who's like doing awful things to Loki. Of outstanding requests per 10 front end. Alright, cool. So we want to have people that are running queries that take longer than like 5 seconds to load. We'll make it 10. So here we go to commit it. Boom, boom. Updated or added front end config. Or added log query section. So that's commit. Sync the changes. Okay. Alright, so that's happy. Now we're going to go to our semaphore instance. And this is also something, if you need help setting up or consulting, Shift Systems has got you covered. Whether it's writing your own Ansible playbooks or setting up and managing Ansible semaphore. So we updated Loki. We could run all of Shift-RMM, but let's just run Loki for the sake of time. We shouldn't need a host limit. And now we can run that deployment. Notice I didn't have to have like Ansible installed locally, excuse me, on my machine, which is really nice. So that way, if you're running like Windows or something, you could still run automation. Yeah. Sometimes it forgets the service rule in free IPA, but try that again. There we go. I need to actually edit the inventory for this guy, but I need to do that off camera because there's sensitive credentials in there. So yeah, that's what I've been up to. We'll definitely get that bug fixed and update the config options. But yeah, it's been nice streaming again. Good chatting and seeing all you guys.